going to do today, essentially, we've got 4 sections. We'll talk around the background, what the subject's around, setting the issues, setting the opportunities. We'll then talk around and show in 2 different sessions where there are areas that can be quite dramatically improved and how AI can do that in certain areas. And then, as I say, if we have time at the end of that, we'll get on to some Q&A. And with that, I'd like to hand over to my colleague Alan, who will be giving us the background and some of the challenges that we are all facing now. So, Alan, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve. Good morning, everybody. Alan Reid. I'm an independent consultant working within the membership and wider not-for-profit space. I've been involved in a number of AI and automation-oriented projects, particularly in the last few years. So I'd like to just talk about some underpinning principles of AI and automation that I'm seeing in the market. And use that as a baseline for other content. So first of all, just to make the point that we're a couple of years in now. So AI in particular has been widely available since about 2022, when most people started realizing ChatGPT was a thing. Most people at the time started using it kind of under the desk, if you like, pretending they were doing the work themselves and then bringing forward their massively increased volume of marketing campaigns or documents or whatever it is. Automation as a topic has been around since the mid-90s at least, and associations I think have been ahead of the market in many compared to many other sectors in using automation to streamline their processes. So let's go through where we are now and where AI is increasingly being used. So first of all, I've done any number of business process reviews, as they're sometimes called, within associations and other not-for-profits. So that's essentially looking at what the organization does, laying out the business processes, lots of post-it notes on the wall, lots of flow diagrams, lots of arm waving, to work out how things could be done in a better and more streamlined way. And it's simply a fact that the majority of the work done in an association lends itself really well to automation. And that's always been the case. It's more the case now. It's easier now with AI. So if you think about the kind of work that associations do, it's very often batch driven. It's not just the renewals process, but it's everything to do with how marketing campaigns are run, how communications are scheduled and managed, how people manage events, and even things like CPD and all sorts of processes. Most things are to a significant degree batch driven. And when you look at the communications and what people do within the organization, you can see that the great majority of outbound comms, I would say well over 90%, are rule-based. You can put rules to it and then have the stupid computer follow those rules and send out what appears to be personalized comms to individuals within their membership groups. So that's the nature of associations. However, a really important point to make now that we are a few years in is what I'm seeing and what I think the sector is responding to is that AI and increased use of automation is not about cutting jobs. I haven't worked with any organizations that said, right, our goal is to reduce our pay bill or to reduce the number of people we've got working out of here in this area. Universally, without exception, after dozens of projects now, the goal is always we want to be able to do more with our current resources. We want to be able to serve the members better. There are these segments here, groups of members that are a bit neglected. We don't have time to create content for them. We don't have time to service them as individuals. So if we can get a bit of help for the staff and better tools for their jobs, then we'll be able to do those things that we weren't able to do before. So really, what I'm seeing as this kind of state of the nation, if you like, in terms of the membership world, is that the AI and the increasing use of automation, a lot of it driven by AI, is really about new skills and focusing roles. I had a speaker on a webinar recently say, AI won't replace people's jobs. people's jobs, if they're going to be replaced, are going to be replaced with other people who have a better grasp of AI. And I thought, okay, I can see the sense of that. So essentially, it's your opportunity, I think, to get that better grasp of AI, to use the tools where it's appropriate, and then get the most out of the resources you have, rather than feel like it's something that's going to come around handing out P45s to people. So what we're also seeing is that associations, it's not a revelation to anyone on this webinar, I dare say, that members respond to increased volumes of content, highly targeted comms, relevant and interesting engagement with their association, and particularly being treated as someone who is understood, so that their association understands their business challenges if it's B2B, their career challenges if it's an individual-based membership, and that their association can add value to wherever they are and wherever they're trying to get to. So associations have always known that that's what they need to do. The challenge is that there just hasn't been the resource to do it. I mentioned this on a previous webinar, but a fairly typical outcome of doing a business process review or a data analysis of an association is that you'll find somewhere between 30 and 50 groups of people that should all be treated slightly differently based on where they are in their career. Are they responding to you or not responding to you? Have they attended these courses or these events? And no one's got the resource to handle 30 to 50 groups slightly differently. Well, the reality is that now you have. Associations now have the resources to treat everyone as an individual, to treat all of the groups slightly differently from each other, to create endless variations of content and have those variations sent out to the right people, and then to have responses when people come in online to be personalized to them. And those tools are now available in an affordable way that they haven't been available in the past. So it's still about process improvement. It's still about streamlining how associations work. But really, it's much more about a productivity revolution. So what we're seeing now is that AI should really not be seen as a threat, even to individuals in the job and individuals doing a job where you're having to do things, substantially manually. It's really an opportunity to take away that manual exercise and give you an awful lot more time to be able to do things that only a human being can do. And we're already seeing the benefits of that in lots of associations around the sector. And with that, I'll hand over to Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Alan. I am just going to share my screen. Perfect. Is that coming through, Alan?
Yep, it's great. Thank you.
Great. And then I want to move there. Perfect. Great. So good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Jaley and I'm Business Development Lead here at Smart Impact. A big thank you to everyone for joining us this morning, and it's great to see so many of you here. To echo Steve's preamble, I think once again we're proving that AI and automation is absolutely the topic capturing the imaginations of professionals working in membership organisations in early 2025. Thanks, Alan, for that introduction and for laying out some of the big trends and issues that membership organisations are contemplating as they get to grips with the incredible opportunities that AI has to offer them. I'm going to pick up the mantle and talk about some practical ways that membership organisations can use AI tools to revolutionise some of their key processes and operations. And then I'm going to hand over to two fantastic colleagues, Adam and Chris, who are going to actually show some of this in action using our technology stack. I think we've just had a message saying my presentation might not be coming through. Is it coming through, Alan?
Yeah, it is, as far as I can see. Yep. It's still on the same slide. It's still on your header slide.
That's it. I'm about to change my slide, but yep. Okay. So look, I think the first point is that AI has the potential to impact virtually every area of your operations, as Alan said. And we're at an inflection point today in how AI technologies can and should be used to do this. And while our focus at Smart Impact is obviously within professional membership organisations, this isn't exclusive to the membership world. So most businesses are thinking about how they can use AI and automation to stay competitive and effective. And as digital consumers, we're all going to get more and more used to AI supported interactions with all the businesses that we interact with. And obviously that's a big part of the agentic agenda that is very often being discussed in the media these days, as organizations find new ways to use AI to actually automate tasks and pick up some of the heavy lifting of running their businesses. So on the left-hand side of the screen here are some of the key processes that membership organizations run to service and communicate with their members. And on the right are several of the ways that AI can impact these. Now, I'm not trying to create a direct link between headings on the right with counterparts on the left, because in reality, AI can impact each of the individual operations you manage in a variety of different ways. So let's just look at one, for instance. If we focus on marketing and communications for a moment, AI tools can help you get more from your data by infusing information from your CRM into your communication campaigns, perhaps by generating personalized content that appears in the communications that you send out. And it can also help you to make better and more dynamic decisions about the types of marketing communications that you're sending out by reacting to how people engage with your campaigns, or by giving you better insights into how specific activities, specific communications are performing. And then finally, it can help organizations to provide more real-time responses to customers or members by deploying things like chatbots that have been trained to interact with your customers the way your staff would. So perhaps imitating your organization's tone of voice or brand using generative messages. So even in just one area, marketing and communications, the possible use cases for AI are extensive. But the reality is membership organizations have to do a huge amount to service their members, justify the hard-earned subscription fees that they pay. And traditionally, all the things on the left-hand side here have to be managed by your staff, meaning there is often what feels like a bit of a relentless grind of membership operations that you need to remain on top of. And consequently, particularly for organizations that don't have the luxury of large budgets or staff teams, and in reality, that's most organizations in the sector, this means that just having the time to focus on strategic planning and value-add activities is at a premium. And very often organizations are just focused on servicing the admin they need to keep their heads above water. So I think my first message here, to echo what Alan said, is that AI and automation provides an incredible opportunity for you to shift your focus from administrative tasks to strategic activities that grow and channel value to your members. So to illustrate this in slightly more practical terms, I want to focus on three specific activities that are some of the usual suspects in terms of consuming large amounts of staff time. And the first of these is member onboarding. Successful membership management is about creating a virtuous circle of engagement with members. In the early days of your relationship, in particular, it's about utilizing the critical opportunity that you have to onboard members with personalized welcomes, nurturing campaigns, clear communications about the benefits relevant to them. And in this sense, the first couple of months in particular can be absolutely crucial, because it can set the tone for your entire relationship with that member. And it can be the difference between an inspiring, highly engaged member who's ready and willing to be involved in your program as an advocate, or someone who is an immediate skeptic and potential detractor a bit further down the line. And in reality, you need to keep that up beyond the first 3 months. And certainly through the first year of membership, but really in this day and age beyond. But this is actually hard work for even the most seasoned membership officers to keep on top of. So firstly, members don't all join at the same time. So there's a constant stream of new members at different stages of the onboarding process that you need to juggle. And if you multiply this by the need to continually personalize what people are engaging with, because quite often different groups of people have different reasons to be members of your organization, then it's very, very difficult to keep content fresh and relevant. And very quickly, the reality is that the first couple of membership communications might be personalized, but very quickly after that, people end up going into buckets where they're receiving generic communications and campaigns that fail to live up to expectations. Now, that's a really exemplary use case for AI and automation, because by using modern marketing automation platforms, organizations can put members into programs that schedule activities automatically, react to how members are engaging with your content by using behavioral insights to track what people are opening, what they're clicking on, what they're expressing interest in what they're doing. And you can even use personalized content generated by AI directly in communications collateral. So doing this in a modern data ecosystem like Dynamics 365, the platform that Smart Impact uses, can also flag when members are at risk of not engaging with your content and suggest alternative engagement mechanisms such as phone calls, invitations to events, invitations to particular activity, or face-to-face meetings to counter this. So the next big area I want to focus on is meeting management and execution. As people-orientated businesses, membership organisations generally have a high number of meetings to organise, be that formal meetings like boards, committees or action groups, or just the normal kinds of day-to-day meetings with colleagues and members that you'd expect in any business. In fact, on average, staff at membership organisations have between 3 and 5 meetings a day, and invariably each meeting leads to the need for minutes, action lists, follow-ups and tasks. And when you add that up together, even over the course of just a week, that is a lot of meeting-orientated admin that needs to be got through. AI tools can transform meeting administration for membership organisations, making processes smoother, faster and more efficient. Instead of staff spending valuable time scheduling, preparing and following up on meetings, AI tools can handle some of the heavy lifting, leaving you to focus on quality-orientated outcomes. Some examples of this include AI-powered scheduling assistants that can find the best time for meetings by analysing contacts' calendars, identifying availability and even responding to the preferences of attendees as they are scheduling. Automated agenda generators, which can create structured meeting plans based on discussion points or key topics or organisations' priorities. And during meetings, AI-driven transcription tools can capture every detail, generating real-time minutes, highlighting key action points, even going as far as sending follow-ups and allocating tasks to reduce the risk of missed actions. So for membership organisations where coordination across teams, committees and stakeholders is crucial, these tools can eliminate a lot of the administrative overhead, allowing staff to focus on strategic decision making and, crucially, member engagement and member experience. So finally, let's have a look at content creation and personalisation. And I'm conscious I've already touched on some of this already, but as I'm sure a lot of people are aware, generative content creation is one of the key skills of modern AI platforms and large language models like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. So this is obviously a big area of focus. And bringing this back to membership organisations in particular, one of the key differentiators for a lot of professional and trade associations is their access to industry-specific knowledge and know-how that's extremely valuable to members. It's probably one of the key reasons that members join the organisation in the first place. However, different stakeholders, based on a variety of different factors, such as their stage of career or job function or specialist interest, often require different information at different times. And so ensuring people can access the right content at the right time is vitally important. Again, there are a variety of ways that AI tools can support this. So you can analyze member data to tailor communications. That ensures that content is relevant and valuable to individuals and groups and accessible in a much more intuitive way. You can use AI on websites to make intelligent content recommendations, signposting the right events, signposting training, signposting resources based on member preferences or behaviour. And of course, AI tools can generate different versions of the same content tailored for different individuals and organizations. So taking a task that may have taken a human content author hours of refactoring and repurposing of copy to a task that only takes a couple of seconds to have individual content for a variety of different stakeholders. So for smart impact, these types of use cases can make a radical impact on how membership organizations engage with their members in a very short space of time. And as you're about to see, we are developing a highly practical set of tools to apply to a variety of common membership use cases that we want to make available to organisations in the sector very, very quickly, which I think is probably an excellent segue into the next section and to hand over to Adam and Chris to look at what some of this looks like in practice. Am I coming to you, Adam?
I think so. Yes, please. I'm going to share my screen now. Bear with me. Right, let's try that again. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And thanks for that, Jeremy. It's really useful to look at the full areas that AI can help organisations that I used to be part of when I was General Manager of the FIA and now being the Head of Modern Work for Smart Impact. I'm predominantly focusing on Smart AI, one of the systems that Jeremy spoke about. And over the next 10 minutes, we're going to be going through how it can help address some of the common tasks that membership organisations face. Before diving in, I saw a few questions have come in before the webinar. And it's firstly, can we make use of AI without changing everything else? Do we need to change the CRM first? I think it's really important to note that the solution I'm about to show you is in a custom AI workspace built in and on top of ChatGPT by OpenAI that is separate and disconnected from your CRM or your CMS or your website, which is brilliant because it means that it's not reliant on the data that you've got at the moment. And it's also a lot quicker to implement and get you set up in, a matter of weeks, not months. And there was a second question, is how do we tell the AI what we want from it and how do you get started? And so what you can see on your screen here is these 5 core documents. And in this custom AI workspace, every single one of our assistants, of which we're about to see a few, are powered by these 5 core documents. That doesn't really mean that much. Let me quickly tell you what they are, and hopefully I will explain how our assistants are able to perform how we want them to, when we want them to. So the 5 core documents cover your brand book, what's your tone of voice and style, your target audience, who are your main customers, your SEO and keywords, what is some of the particular language that you should use and why, your business overview, which details your departments, your goals, your SWOT analysis, your company location, all of like the key details around your business. And lastly, your products and services, which is a full listing of everything that you offer. Through all of your AI assistants having access to those intuitively out of the box means that you don't have to spend countless minutes or even hours typing into the AI, getting them all of the context they need to do what you want them to do. And it means, as you're about to see, you can just dive into whatever work that you need to do. Okay, so over the next probably 7 minutes now, we've got a scenario whereby we've just had a meeting internally about understanding the differences between trade associations and professional bodies. let's say it's an example from Smart Impact, and we're discussing Smart AI, and we're trying to better understand how we can personalize the onboarding campaigns between those two similar but very different customer types or target audiences. So we've got this transcript here, and you can see that it covers topics like the differentiated onboarding campaigns. Christ, that's hard to say. And it's giving different smart AI assistants we should be recommending to each one. Okay, we all know what it's like being in a great meeting and you feel really enthused, and then you're hit with the reality of, crikey, I've got to do all of the work from that manually, and you've lost all the momentum, and the rest of your inbox is full up with things that you now need to do instead. But what Smart AI has allowed us to do, through using the meeting summarizer, we simply just upload the transcript and say, tell me the key findings. It will go through and do a structured retelling of the key points. It's different from the meeting minuter, a separate assistant that will give you an accurate chronological minuting of the event. This just looks at the key themes, which you can see here, and it's picked out the customer one and what were some of the solutions suggested, and then it's also done the same for the other target audience, which was professional bodies. You can see it goes through and gives you a bit more information on it, and if you even want it to, it can write it up into a full report. So most of our assistants come with a template that is usually best in class for delivering that given function, which is a meeting summary. So not only can it just tell you off the top of its head what the key points were, it can also write you up a report in this Canvas style output. These are really cool for a few reasons I'll tell you about. So not only is it separated from the chat and you can work with it, and then this will be edited, but there's also some really quick suggestions here on the bottom right hand side to make really quick edits, to make it longer or shorter, to change the reading level. So you can see here that you could massively simplify it, or sorry, make it a bit more complex or simplify it. And then there's two other ones, which is adding some final polish or adding emojis in. So the Canvas feature within Smart AI, built upon ChatGPT, is really useful for making quick and easy changes. But let's say we're happy with that meeting summary, and we think, brilliant, that's taken me a minute to do. What I'm then going to go and do is go over to our membership guru, which is one of our Smart AI assistants that's been trained on like the best in class membership practice and ways of thinking. And as you can see, I'm not spending a great deal of time having to tell it who the assistant is or who I am and what we're trying to do, because it knows all of that from the core documents, and it's being built by Smart Impact in a very effective way to deliver its specific task or goal, which is giving membership advice. So I simply upload the summary that we just saw before and the transcript as well. And I said, can you please review and create me 2 personalized emails for each target audience to introduce Smart AI? And so what it's done there is written out an email for me, which is pretty good. And it's then also gone and done the one for professional bodies. And we can send this around afterwards, but you'll be able to pick up from all of these different things I'm showing you, how it's carrying through all of this information. I then wanted it to create a second email variant, and it's gone on and done that as well. Okay, so that's about 2 minutes down. There's a few things that we can do here. So in this example, let me just move that out of the way. I could just copy that directly into customer insights, and that could be the end of it, which is something I've done. Blue Petered it over here. I literally just copy and paste the bits into the email, and then I can hand that over to Chris, and Chris is away doing what he's doing. But because I've saved so much time in summarizing the meeting and writing those email campaigns, I was meant to say, by the way, I'm not a marketer, so if any of you are squeaming at what I've done, I do apologize. Anywho, what you can then go on to do with that time that you've saved is you can put it into our newsletter creator, which is really great for helping you visualize what these emails could look like if you don't have customer insights. So it writes it out in HTML, because I uploaded all of the email campaigns just there which was from the AI before. And this is once again in Canvas, so you've got a different selection of code-related functionality there. But something that's really handy is you can quickly preview what the email would look like. You can go one step further and you can copy all of this code and directly import that into some email providers like Customer Insight, which if you're really happy with that, means that you even save time on the copy and pasting. So that's the emails done, be that HTML or copied and pasted over. But we can still do a bit more with the time that we've saved. So we can go over to our social media helper that's great at writing up different posts tailored to different platforms. And what we've done is we've given it the email campaigns from before, and we've said, please generate LinkedIn posts to promote smart AI. We want them to be top of funnel. We want 3 unique posts for each customer type. Don't use emojis, and here's your call to action to use. And so what you can see is that, instantly will give you the social media posts that I think once again are largely pretty good. And they're doing it in a way where it's a lot quicker for me to do than if I was having to write up all of these manually, which can be really good if you're then going to pass that on to your social media automation tool, or if you're just going to give it to your marketing team to schedule. And lastly, what we can do is we can bring in our executive assistant, and we'll give it all of the files that we've just used, and we'll say to it, can you please write a short email, missed that keyword there, to Chris to ask him to build this campaign out for me in Customer Insights, and then write an email to Steve explaining all the work we have done since our meeting. And you can see I've just explained a bit there, so it's easier for the AI to understand. But I'm not having to say, you're a great assistant that's really good at writing emails in a formal, professional way in British English, and so on and so forth. I just give it the context and allow it to do what it is doing best. And you can see here then, the email to Chris was written up in about 10 seconds, and then the email to Steve is also written up there in full. So I'm now going to hand over to Chris, who's going to continue showing what Customer Insights can do from the content that we've generated, from a meeting transcript and unorganized notes, all the way through to writing out the email campaigns and the other actions I've shown you. So over to you, Chris.
Brilliant. Thanks, Adam. So let me just bring up Customer Insights. So you probably heard the term Customer Insights being thrown around over the last few minutes. So that is Dynamics 365, so the CRM system's marketing solution. So in the past it was called the marketing module, now it's Customer Insights. So we've seen Adam go quite effortlessly from quite scattered meeting notes to a whole series of emails that we want to be able to send out. So you're probably thinking that's really great, but I don't have the bandwidth to sit down and compose 7 or 10 emails that I can then send out over a period of a week. And as Jeremy said earlier, one of the big problems you have or challenges you have with a member is that they're joining at different times, right? So if you want to do something like a membership onboarding process where you send 1 email per week, each person is going to be triggering that journey at different times. So I'm going to just take you through a bit of a whistle-stop tour of some of the things within Customer Insights that might help you deliver those emails that Adam has created through Smart AI. So you recall this was the email that Adam created, and then he just copy-pasted the content into, or the body into Dynamics or Customer Insights. So there's a couple of things we're going to want to do before we start actually building out the audiences and sending this out. And we want to add a little bit of personalization in. So we can see we have a deer, but it's blank. So the very first thing we're going to want to do is up on the top right-hand side, there's personalization. And we want to kind of mail merge, so to speak, different data from within Dynamics. And that's one of the really strong aspects of Customer Insights, is that it gives us that ability to quite effortlessly leverage data that we have within Dynamics. So things like membership grade, the expiration date, invoice details, CPD data, all of that kind of stuff we can pull within a email campaign. So if we wanted to say, dear Joe, thank you for joining us on this particular membership. You started on this date, it's going to run for a year, this will be your expiration date. All those kinds of things we can pull into a welcoming email dynamically without us having to sit there and go through that information on a email by email basis. We might also want to give different body to different people that are going to be receiving this. So if we're sending out a reminder, well, let's say we want to send out a campaign that's going to tell people about some of the benefits of their membership. Somebody who's been a member for quite a few years might want to receive different reminders of different kinds of membership benefits than a new member or a student member or something like that. So we have the ability to, using the personalization on the right hand side, we can do what's known as an inline condition, which can look at data within Dynamics and display different versions of this text based off of that. So if they're on a different membership status, if they're joined at different dates, we can then pull in various different types of content that we want to use. I see there's a question regarding some Copilot stuff as well. I'm going to touch on some Copilot as we go through this demo, and really the first one is down on the right hand side. We have this thing called content ideas. Now, I have a lot of faith in what Adam's created, so I think this content is good and it's ready to go out. But if we click on the content ideas on the right hand side, we can see what Copilot has done is it's read through what we've created. It's come up with some keywords. We can add some of our own keywords if we want to. And then we can choose what tone of voice we want to do. So adventurous, formal, luxury. I'm not really sure what a luxury voice might sound like, but we then have the ability to generate content. So I've gone with casual, which I know is very overboard with emojis and things like that. So we can see up on the right hand side, it's created different versions of the same email, but it's made it more casual and it's changed how that text is going to come across. We can go back if we didn't like that, and we can make it more formal if we wanted to. And it'll just essentially generate different versions of that email for us, which is really cool. So I'm going to leave it there on the email. Suffice to say, there's a lot of different tools you can use for the actual body and the content of that email to personalize that. But the next thing we're going to need to do in this automation process of sending out a welcome campaign is we're going to need to build out that audience. We need to find the people that we need to send to. So to do that, we're going to use segments. And segments is essentially a query of data within your system. So you can ask it things like, all of my contacts that were created today, or membership status is active, or things like that. But we also, once again, down at the bottom, we have the Copilot icon. So we have the ability to write in a natural language what it is that we're looking for. So I'm going to say that I'm looking for contacts in London. We'll just keep it quite basic. And then when I hit that, it's going to go off and think about it. Now, you'll notice I didn't say contacts who are living in the city of London, or I didn't give it any prompts around what type of fields of information it's looking for. It automatically picked up that the address city is London that it's going to want to use. So if I had to include that in my segment, we can see that it's already built that out for us quite nicely. But for us, we want to look for, let's say, membership join date. That's going to be when this person has actually joined, and we're going to take the membership join date field. Now, again, as Jeremy mentioned, people are joining at different times, so we don't want to send a monthly campaign to all new joiners. We want to be able to send this as they register, or as they sign up today. I want to send them an email that's going to give them access to their portal credentials and all of those kinds of things. So it's really important for me to be able to send it today, and I want that to happen automatically. I don't want to have to come and generate this list once a day to send out. So we have the ability to use things like a relative date, which will say things like, I make this 0 days, so it says membership join date is today, and that's now a dynamic segment. So every time somebody becomes a member today, their join date is today, they'll be added in, and come tomorrow they'll be removed from the list because their join date is no longer today, we've moved on to the next day, and automatically the next bunch of people will be put in as they join. And that really is the foundation of email automation. Essentially, we want our audiences to be updating in real time, so that as they join, they'll get added into the segment, and when they're no longer relevant because let's say it's not their birthday, or because they've changed their membership grade, or because their invoice has been paid, then we want to remove them from that audience and let the campaign carry on for the new people. So there's a lot you can do around the creation of your segments. What's also really good to note is down on the bottom, all of the different data that's within your CRM system within Dynamics can be leveraged within your member or within your segment. So things like your CPD points, things like invoice data, donation information, all of that stuff can then be pulled in. So if we want to send people a CPD reminder or an invoice reminder or renewal reminders, all of those kinds of things, we can pull that data into the segments and use that. So we've had a look at the creation of the email and the personalization. We've had a look at building out the segments, so it's good to go. Now we want to actually send out those emails on an automated process. So to do that, we're going to use journeys. And if I go in and create a new journey, the first thing it's going to ask me is, do I want to use Copilot to create the journey? Now, it actually works quite well. So to say things like, when somebody enters the segment, send them 1 email per week for 4 weeks, it will generate that quite nicely. But I think just for the demo's sake, I'm going to create it from blank and I'll build one for you. So we're going to do this based off a segment. Let's call that the web one, which is the segment I just created. And we're going to set a start date, which is today. But you can do that in the future. Let's say you're doing an event invite. You may want to set that for some date in the future. Then I'm going to go ahead and create that. Now what we have is a kind of a drag and drop builder for your campaign. So this is going to, remember, this is going to be a welcome and onboarding journey for members. So we're going to send them 4 emails over the course of a month with 1 week in between. So as they join that segment, we are going to send them an email, and then we're going to choose the welcome email 1. So that will be the very first email. But we want to make sure that they're actually accessing that email, because this is going to have all of their portal information. So what we want to do is we are going to put in a trigger, and we are going to say something to do with this welcome email, and that is going to be whether they clicked on, let's just say whether they open the email. Okay, so if they open email 1, that's great. Then we can go on and send them mail 2, which is welcome email 2. But if they didn't open that email, we might actually just want to send them a reminder email as well, just so that they definitely do get that portal data. So we started off, they've entered, they're going to get the email. Then we're going to wait a little bit of time to see if that is true. If it is true, we're then going to wait for, let's say, a set amount of time. And we're going to wait for 1 week before sending the next campaign. And so we can go on sending out that process. And essentially that would then become a set it and forget it. So let me just put in 1 wait time just to wrap this one up. So once this journey has been set up, we will just save it and we can walk away knowing that every single day as people are becoming members, they're automatically going to be added into that segment, and they're going to run through this automation process. There is a lot more that you can do. So you can split it based on whether they've attended events, whether they've clicked on certain links. You can do A/B testing within that campaign as well. You can split it to do high touch, low touch kind of campaigns. But there's really a lot you can do with automation. And the key really is just that peace of mind that once it's been set up once correctly, you can just leave it to go for the duration of that member's life cycle with you. And I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, Adam, for all the content created, and I'm going to hand it back over. To Jeremy, I think.
Right, so I think we were going to have a look at a quick poll next, Chris.
I'll share that poll. Just give me 1 second.
So what we were hoping is, based on some of the content we've looked at today, to get some insights from people joining us today on how they might be thinking about using AI in their own work. So we've got a couple of quick questions, and then Alan, if I come over to you for the Q&A session. You're on mute, Alan.
Yeah, that's all great. Thank you.
Cool. I think that's probably long enough for that one, Chris.
Cool.
Good. Okay, and then the next poll is really essentially what would you do with the increased time that you've got if you were able to use these tools? What would you focus on next as an association? How would you make use of your increased capacity? Great. Great, that's really interesting. So what we're seeing for a lot of people is essentially that they would focus more on their strategy as an organization, thinking about how you do stuff, how you could improve your own association, how you could improve what you deliver to people, with a strong subset of focusing on governance and how you would make decisions internally within the organization. Great, thanks everybody for the poll. That's really insightful. I'd like to go to the Q&A, if I may. We've had some really fantastic questions through, and some of them you've already answered as we've gone. Adam, I liked your comment that you don't need to replace everything to start making use of AI. And I like the explanation of essentially you can tell it about yourself in these five core documents. But we've had multiple questions about that. Do you mind just expanding for a few seconds on how an organization would actually get started on an AI benefits project? You know, if you just wanted to dip your toe into the water and start getting some of these benefits, you might not be using dynamic CRM, you might be using dynamic CRM. How would an organization typically get started, if you don't mind?
Yeah, certainly. So Smart AI was made in collaboration with the Fire Industry Association as like the guinea pigs over the last year or two when I was there as the general manager. And we were already doing one digital transformation, so we didn't want another one. But we did want a really quick and easy way to get on board with AI. And we realized through lots of iterative working that the best way of doing that is through the core document approach, whereby you essentially feed all of the relevant information about your organization to all of the AIs at all time, so that they can dynamically pick and choose the data that they need, depending on the task that the user's given them. And that's one of the reasons why we went for ChatGPT, which was another question, because of how it stores the data and dynamically queries them. So that's what it is and why we did it. With getting started, it's a pretty simple process, and we're already working with 2 organizations right now to roll out Smart AI. It's a really simple, let's say, can be done in 4 to 6 weeks. We go in, learn about the organization through some calls with their relevant teams, get their relevant files, whether that's a brand book or examples of communication or any other information. We then take that away, put it all together and build out these 5 core documents, which are then approved by the customer, making sure that they're really happy with the information we're giving to the AI. We then set up the custom workspace, invite the users, and attach all of the documents to the assistants that they wanted, and that's it. Then the organization can work with best-in-class AI assistants. Whatever users they want can have whatever assistants they want, and they're away. They can choose a number from marketing, operations, sales, HR, customer service, regulatory and compliance. There is no 4-month project that's behind a corner or behind the scenes here. It's as simple as that.
Fantastic. That's really helpful. Thank you, Adam. And then Steve, Saidi, if you don't mind. I know customers love to put everybody on the spot with cost-based questions. And I also know that cost-based questions can be, you know, how much will it cost to refurbish my house? And then, of course, well, I need a lot more information than that. But maybe just for the purposes of amusing people on this webinar and putting you on the spot a bit, Are you able to give a rough envelope? Is it thousands? Is it tens of thousands? Is it hundreds of thousands? If an organization wants to kick the ball and start getting the benefits of AI in the way Adam's describing?
No, I mean the way Adam's described. So let's use FIA as a good example. The way we do this is we advise everyone to basically find 3 use cases. We'll then come in with the assistance we've already got, work out which ones apply to them most appropriately, and then train those people up. So we advise that's a sort of 1 month to 3 month pilot, but to set up the environment, to set up the range of assistants that are chained together, to set up all of the core documents, takes between 10 and 15 days. So for a 15K startup, plus the ChatGPT and assistant licenses, that sets the pilot going. By that stage, you've got a lot of energy, a lot of impetus, everyone gets really excited about it, and then you can start to roll it out across the company. And you know, in FIA's case, they've been using it for 2 years. They reckon that they've saved about 1,500 man days in the first year, and that's out of 25 staff. And that's made them, that saved them about 800K on what was a 2.5 million turnover. They've since grown by about £1 million since then. So it's a great use case, and it's a low entry start, and it doesn't depend on the state of your current data in your CRM.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate actual numbers, Steve. That's rare, so I appreciate the clarity around that. Okay, so then we have another question here, which is about when do you onboard? It's, when do you buy your flat screen TV? Should you wait for the next generation? Jeremy, I'll fire this one at you if you don't mind. So we're looking at changing our membership system in the next 2 years. Should we wait until AI is a bit more mature and then change at that point?
I think the answer is resounding no, Alan. I mean, the foundational thing you need for good AI is good collateral and good data. And if you've got those 2 things, Adam's already described, the fact that you can put in place collateral, brand books, documents explaining your strategy, documents explaining what you do, that can provide foundational content. If you can then infuse that with your data so that you are able to be agile about how you communicate with people, personalize content that folks see, and use insights from your data to power AI, then you've got the magic recipe. And really getting your data in order, investing in that membership management system that can support that, is the absolute cornerstone task of doing that.
Fantastic, thank you. And then I've got a question here, which is about, is AI outbound facing or just inward facing? Let me ask Chris this one, because Chris, you're on the technical side. So pre-webinar question, does AI have a place on the member website? Is it mainly back office? Is there any role for using AI-based tools on the website so that different members have some kind of varied experience from each other?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bright future actually for client-facing AI. I think the very obvious solutions would be things around support. So things like asking questions about your membership, trying to access your portal, all of those kinds of things. But I think there's also really a lot of opportunity in terms of content discovery within the website.
Yes.
So the ability to use an agent or a chatbot to be able to map out the website better so that people can ask questions in a natural language, like what are the benefits around this, or how much would it cost me to upgrade from this membership to that membership. That's not particularly personalized. That would be for anyone who accesses the website, but particularly when somebody logs on via the portal, you might be able to give them more tailored things, like signposting new content for them. So to say that we know that you've attended this event and that event, therefore you'd be interested in this event, and you could prompt them to go and visit that. Likewise with CPD, to help your members to track out a CPD journey and pathway for them. I think client-facing AI or member-facing AI would be instrumental in that.
Fantastic answer. And one of the main use cases I'm seeing now is, you've touched on it, natural language querying. So many associations have fantastic content, expert content that's been built up over years in all sorts of fields, but no one can find it. AI and natural language querying. All right, Adam, final question for you, if you don't mind. Echoing back to your leadership role at the Fire Industry Association, we've got a question here. How do you prevent your staff feeling threatened by the introduction of the clever robot that can do their job?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's tricky, is the short answer. But what I found from the experiences that I've had on rolling this out across departments internally and now working with other organisations to do so, is they're probably going to be hesitant come what may, because it's new, it's loud, there's so much noise, and it's developing so much. And I think people in the chat are talking about that. And I think the first thing to do is to explain why you're bringing AI into the fold. And there's some really strong reasons for that. It's to save time, reduce costs, empower staff to focus on the areas where they add more value. So being more collaborative with your members, thinking more strategically, or being a bit more creative in like some of the ideas or offerings that you're having. So using that as the foundation is a really useful starting point. And then the next key thing to do, which we've found, is it's all about education. So getting them trained up to use it in a really simple way. And that's where Smart AI lends itself quite easily, because as you saw from the demo I gave, I wasn't using any coding language or technical language. I was just talking to the AI assistants as if they were a colleague or a person with plain language, and it was giving me the answers back. So yeah, set your intentions from the start and then educate them on how to use the platforms you're using. And I think they will largely themselves, if you do both of those correctly, come to their own understanding that AI can massively help them save time and focus in the areas that they're never able to get to. And it's in that bit there, that element, whereby people's view on AI and its role in the organization massively changes.
Fantastic. So it's a tool for them to save time in their role, not not some kind of looming threat. Great, thank you so much for that, Adam. I'm just going to hand back to Steve now. That's all the Q&A we've got time for. Thanks all so much for the interaction and engagement, everybody.
Thank you.
Apologies while I just answer in the chat. Right, so Alan, are you in charge of the slides still, or do you want me to take over?
No, yeah. I'll just leave it on here.
Yeah, if you can just go to the next one for me, please.
Sure.
So, well, thanks, guys. I hope you found that was interesting. There's a few things to round up. One is with our customers, we've got an AI working group. We meet every quarter. We discuss a whole range of things, including developments in the market, what new tools are coming out, and so on, various other news items, as well as looking at really good use cases among our customer base as well. So it's quite an intuitive and educational session. So if any of you would be interested in potentially taking part in that or receiving output from that, please email me on my email address at the bottom there. Yeah, and then we'll be in touch. Next one, please. And we've got a whole range of different sessions coming up. We generally run these once a month. They're usually in the first or second, towards the last Tuesday of each month. But have a look on that site there, and you'll be able to see a whole range of different ones. Also, we're always interested in what subject you're interested in. So if there are areas that we're not covering, then again, please email me. And we'll be very happy to either blend that in to an existing session or to create a brand new session around it. So for instance, we were having questions around events and event management earlier. That's something we'd be delighted to do. We've been supporting events since 2012. And there are a whole range of different ways that we can do that within the software and lots of techniques around that. And also in terms of AI and generation and marketing of those events. So that's another area. So please let us know any subjects you'd like us to cover. And I think finally,
That's it.
that's it. Actually, there is one other slide, Alan. I think we clicked over. Could you go back to?
Sure.
Yeah, and the final one, and probably one of the more important ones, if you'd like to download a range of helpful resources, please go to that site or scan that QR code. These are internal surveys, some great examples of use cases, and lots of other collateral policies, staff introduction pieces that you can use. So please go there, fill in a simple form. You'll then get access to all the resources and you can use them internally on your AI journey. And if you want to discuss any way we can help in that as well, just give us a call or contact us. We don't bite. We're not going to camp on your doorstep. We'll help you as much as we can. And if you want to work with us as well, even better. So with that, thank you very much for attending. As I say, we'll circulate the collateral, the recordings and the slides over the next few days, and look forward to seeing you at some future event. Bye-bye.